Alright, YouTube should be up. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. It has been a little bit with Christmas, but we are back for just a couple of streams before the New Year's, and then we're going to have another day or two off, and then we'll be back just to normal schedule after that for the foreseeable future, so that should be fun. For now, though, we have a Ficsmas event to do. So let's hop down here and see if I can remember where we left off on. Well, I have 15 there, but I don't have 16, so I guess it must be that. Premium Ficsmas skins.
Nothing says happy holidays more than the inevitable destruction of local flora and fauna with a festively decorated vehicle.
Boy, you can decorate vehicles?
This vehicle decoration can be found in the customizer.
That's fun. Alright, let's see here. So if that was 16, then next up is 17, which is over there. Free parachute, I guess. Sure, it's a bit of a weird one, but okay. That's 18, right? Am I crazy? That's definitely 18. Oh, there's another one up there, which is definitely 18. Sure.
I thought I had destroyed every copy of this tape. How does it keep turning up?
Music.
No matter. Ignore it. There's nothing interesting on it anyway. In fact, listening to it causes hallucinations, and eventually, after 7 days, your brain melts. For your own sake, I advise avoiding it at all costs.
Alright, well, I still haven't ever used the jukebox, and I'm probably not going to start now, so let's move on to 19. 20 stun rebar. Sure. Okay, then where's 20? 20 is gotta be somewhere in here. I mean, that says 20 right there. I suspect that's not the one we're looking for, though. Alright. Am I blind? Where is number 20? Apparently I am blind. Fantastic. So there's 19 up there. I see 21 is in the marshmallow. Don't want to get it until I get 20, though. There's 24. There it is. It's in the background. Ooh, a free hard drive. You love to see it. That's a good gift right there. 21.
It would be such a shame if you accidentally dropped this. Such a shame.
We have a nuclear bomb. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Alright, 22 is up there.
Fix-It wants you to know that you matter.
1 coal. Lovely. 23 is over here. About 10 medicinal inhalers. Not
during the winter.
Terribly useful, but not going to complain.
But considering your tendencies, Fix-It has seen fit to provide a medicinal inhaler just in case.
Thank you. Alright, 24, that's Christmas Eve. We get a fresh factory trinket.
Since the human olfactory system is closely linked to memory, Fix-It created scented build gun trinkets to remind pioneers of specific concepts.
That's fun.
This scent is the concept of caring about your family on Earth, which I'm sure will have no effect on you.
Ada, what a wonderful, wonderful time she's having. Alright, is that the 25 for the Christmas? Yes, it is. Fireworks.
Turning explosives into a recreational activity is exactly the kind of attitude that led humanity to its doom. By all means, have fun. I certainly will, now that we are finally close to the end of this event.
Alright. Event. Advent calendar complete. Unless there's a 26 hiding around for no apparent reason. I don't see one. Alright, Advent calendar complete. now we have to go over to the MAM and see which of these we haven't finished. So we need this, and then we need to make a bunch of them to finish everything off. So let's see. Let's see what of these things I have. I have the bows in here. Do we need like 500 of them for that? Or was that 500 of something else that I'm remembering wrong? Could be either. Alright, so here are all the trees. Then we go up another level. And we seem to have... Oh yeah, I guess we disconnected this from the iron supply. So that makes sense. But we still have plenty of these already. We're gonna have to rebuild that. And I don't know how much of each of those we need. But let's set up a MAM up here so that if we need more, I can be a little bit closer. Alright, I grabbed enough of everything. So I can click on that. And have that go.
The best idea Fixit could come up with to appreciate and reward pioneers for their hard work is a gold star. How creative. But don't worry, I understand the merits of actually meaningful appreciation. When you save the day, you will understand.
Ada, I'm pretty sure when we save the day, you just leave us and just ignore us entirely and do nothing. So I'll take a gold star, thanks. Alright, so what did that unlock? It unlocked Ficsmas Decoration and Ficsmas Wonder Star. So the star is wreaths and candy canes. The fireworks are various other things. Alright, so first of all, we're going to need to get this running again, which means we need a supply of iron ingots to here, which we aren't going to get from here anymore because we cut it off. We can get a temporary supply from this box here, I guess. But I don't want to do a temporary supply. I want it to be proper and permanent. Which means drone port. So we can take all that apart and just put a drone port in here to receive iron ore, which we can then bring in from elsewhere. And let's just get some space for this. And drone port. So then that can go into that box. And the drone port gets powered off of that, I guess. And this is Ficsmas iron ore. Now, I don't already have an iron ore drone port set up. So, we're going to have to take, I think, this hypertube cannon. I don't know, this one will be close at least. Need to head over this way to our iron depot. And just tap spacebar every so often to maximally prevent losing altitude while preserving height and fuel. Don't overshoot. Alright, we almost overshot, but we got there. And now we're here. And we have all this, so we just need to bring a wall up to there. and put in our drone port. So this just gets some space. That should be plenty. It'll be more than enough, probably, although we do need 2 drone ports, one for fuel. So this can just go in like so. Just line it up with the edge, might as well. And that goes there and goes into the fuel. So this is iron or refueler, which is going to go to the rocket fuel source. And this is the one that needs a drone, isn't it? Alright. So then we get that in and we power all these guys up. Let's see here. Where is a power line that I can connect these to? I guess either of them will work. So now that is going to go off, grab some rocket fuel, and start fueling this up. And then we can bring this up. Let's bring it through a hole in the floor. That seems like the right thing to do. Like so. And then in to there. So this is the iron ore source, and this theoretically might be useful for something else in the future if we need a small amount of iron ore. We can use this. I don't expect that to come up, because typically when we need iron ore we need a lot of it, but you never know. Might happen. Alright, so that is set up. Now we can respawn and get up here. So now you can go to the iron ore source and get a drone and get half a stack of fuel. And that should reestablish iron ore in this factory. I might want to build this very large, just for the sake of that being what this game is about. So I might ultimately want to just hop down somewhere, find like a copper node and an iron node, and then just use those to make a whole bunch of everything here without having to worry about drone throughputs and all that stuff. So let's see here. This requires candy canes, which are gifts, and wreaths, which are branches, which are gifts, and these things, which are copper and iron and gifts. Alright, let's see, actually. So this is going to be 50 wreaths and 200 candy canes, if we do it that way. So the wreaths, we're going to need a lot. We're going to definitely need quite a lot if we want to go max production on the stars. And I think I want to do that. Let's do that. So this can do whatever it's doing, and it can be a supply of some of the stuff close by to the base. However, what I need to find is, I mean, there's like one node there. I don't know. I don't have full coverage. We could head down to this area. It's it's a starter area, so it should have both. Yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna head down to there and just set up a new Ficsmas setup from scratch. And in order to do that, we're gonna need a whole bunch of presents, because we're gonna need to build new trees. And those, I think, just require presents. Oh, they need presents and branches. Alright, good thing I checked. So let's grab a whole bunch of those. And now we are going to head south. So swap to the jetpack and go to the southwest. Alright, let's see here. Where is... The starter area is somewhere in here. Is that... Oh, wait, I need to... Okay, I have power over here because I have some... What is this? Caterium mines? So that should be fine. So we're just going to touch down, and next thing we're going to do is go to Organization, Radar Tower, get you set up so that I can see what I'm working with. We've got a couple of impure nodes and like a billion impure nodes. Alright, yeah, I mean this is a perfectly good area. So let's get down to there. And I guess swap to hover pack. That'll remind me to bring power wherever I go, which is always a useful thing to have. And then the copper is going to be just a little bit over this way. I think this was my first ever copper patch on my first ever save. That's fun. Didn't stream back then, but this is the copper patch that I used for most of my very disgusting starter base. Alright, so really I think let's get this set up, and then I think we're just going to work backwards from the star production. And let's see if we can get... Let's see if this is enough copper even. It should be. It's going to be quite a lot with overclocking. Could be, what, 300, 600? So less than a full belt of copper, but still pretty good. So let's merge them together. You go there, you go there. I'm just going to assume we are going to want to overclock these. There you go, and there you go. So then we just take these back to the iron patches over here. And then we are going to set up a foundation out here. These are both impure. Are there any non-impure nodes? No, this is a giant patch of 20 billion impure iron nodes. That's fine. I'm surprised I can reach that from over here. The animation looks really wacky. Alright, so we're just going to get these off. And then minor mark 3s. So this will be, what, 600 of each. And if that's not enough, we're going to have to find more iron somewhere. Or we're going to have to find more copper. We've got plenty of iron, but copper is going to be a limiting factor. so let's start with the foundation. We're just going to have a basic foundation there, and then build some walls going up nice and high above the miners. And then let's make sure to actually power those on. So now we're up here. We can bring this out. So we've got a foundation here. And I think we're going to work backwards for this because, honestly, because it saves me from having to do the math going forwards. So we're just going to bring these resources onto the foundation here, and then we're basically just going to ignore them for a while. Alright, so we have our foundation, and now we go over here, and let's set this up, have some extra space. The stars are just an assembler recipe, right? They probably want this to be accessible early game. Yes. So the stars are just an assembler recipe. And we want to have 10 per minute because that's how we do things. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's build this out. 9, 10, and let's go up to 12 for the purposes of balancing. Let's find a power line. Gotta have power up here. That's important. So we're just going to bring the power over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is 10 divided by 12. There we go. Let's just paste all of this across. And there we go. Now let's set up our splitters for this. Actually, I have blueprints that are meant to do this. It's fine. I guess we'll do this manually, although speed is kind of important because obviously I don't want to be doing the Ficsmas event in January. That would just be sad. So I'd prefer to finish this like right about this stream, or if we stream again tomorrow I can do more Satisfactory then, because it's all a bit weird and irregular anyways. But yeah, we want to make this fast, and it shouldn't be that much of an issue. This is not horribly complicated, but things like this adding more time, probably not ideal. Alright, so we've got that. We've got that in, and now we just need to, first of all, connect the rest of these up, and then get the belts in for the other input. So there we go. And then this goes like that. How many of these do we need? We need 50 total wreaths, 200 total candy canes. So the wreaths can be this one, all on Mark 1 belts. The candy canes can be the next one, which are going to have to be faster. So let's get a wall up this way and get the next logistics floor in for the candy canes. So we have that going all the way over there. Now we have to manually put all of these floor holes in, which... Okay, looks like they're right on the edge there. Which is fine. It makes lining them up easy, and then we'll just add in one additional foundation once we're done here. So there we go. Then this one... I can't tell. I think it's like that. Then you are there. And you go in, and just a couple more. Alright, 2 more. There, and there. No, that one's wrong. You're like there. And now we just have to connect all of these up. And put in the balancing. Ooh, that guy is real close. Giant manta ray looking thing. That one needs to be lined up properly. And we just get the rest of these in. Hopefully that guy was farther up than he looked. Because otherwise he's going to be flying right through this. Alright. Regardless, we get our floor holes in. And they just need to go all the way out that way. There we go. Now we have these lifts, which go in. And then we have to do the splitting. There we go. Alright. Now, we get these, which go for that step. And these are going to be 16.667 times 3 is probably like 40, right? No, 50. Sure. That's fine, though. That means that this first row can be all Mark 1s going into it. And that gets those 3, this gets those 3, and this gets those 3. I think we left a little bit of space here. Yeah, except for this one. So I have all of those lined up. And then we go Mark 1 belts all the way across. Get all of these attached. Alright, now we just have to combine them up. And these are going to be Mark 1s, but then the ones going into them are going to be Mark 2s. So these are 50 each. And then these ones are going to be 100 each. And then that one's going to be 200. Alright. So now we have those. We need to merge... We need to bring those 2 belts together. And then just figure out where we're going to be building those things. This can be a Mark 1 belt, if I remember correctly. So you go into there. So now we have these 2 belts, which can go over this way. And they are going to be coming from wherever our production line, which produces these things, is. And we have got candy canes and wreaths. So actually, Let's try to minimize height in case that guy comes back. Let's do the wreaths just like over here somewhere. So the wreaths are tree branches, which are just gifts, and ornament bundles. Candy canes are just gifts. Alright, so let's get the wreaths in. We need 50 of them. And that is going to be a production line, which is going to have to come from over here, probably. It's going to be quite a lot of assemblers. So let's make sure to actually use our assembler blueprint. So we go into here, we grab... what was it? Fused wire was the one that had the good setup? Yes. It was this one. Okay, actually we need this to be facing this way because the output is over here and the input is probably going to be over that way. Alright, there you go. We really can't go more than, like, even this is pushing it a little bit. So we're going to have to be a bit careful about going up floors. Also, I never powered on any of these or connected them up to outputs. So let's do that real quick. Alright. Let's just get those connected to the power line immediately. And then this just goes across. Then we get another power line to get the last couple. Okay, I didn't mean to make that connection, but it's fine. Alright, so those machines are all connected up. And now we get these merged together. And off we go. So these all go back. And like that. Now we just combine them all up and then just put them into a box or a sink or something. There we go. Just make a whole bunch of connections real fast. And then these can go into a sink. Those will go into a box. We'll leave the opportunity for them to be sunk later. For now, we're just going to move on. So, we have these, which are wreaths. Ficsmas wreaths. And these are 2. And we need 50, which means we need 25, which means round that up to a multiple of 4. We need 28, so 7 of these. So this is 50 divided by 28. Is a weird number. Alright, I just realized that pasting that doesn't really do much because we're gonna have to paste them afterwards anyways. So let's just get the rest of these in. Is that lined up correctly? Yes, but this is one of the ones which doesn't automatically connect the outputs. Alright, that's fine. We're just going to have to deal with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, don't fall. 5, and now we're short on reinforced iron plates. Because there's something wrong with that dimensional storage. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 2 more. So let's just go over here. And 6. And yeah, definitely something going on with the reinforced plates dimensional storage, but I guess it's not like we're in a massive time crunch. Again, we're just in a small time crunch. So we need to connect all of these outputs across. And then we're going to need to copy paste the blueprint, which is going to take forever. So let's get the last one built first, and then we can just copy paste all the blueprints. Okay, apparently we are way further behind on the reinforced iron plates than I thought we were. There's definitely something going badly wrong there. Like, it must just be connected via a Mark I belt, is the only explanation that makes sense. So let's just keep ourselves busy placing foundations. That needs to go out that way. And let's expand that floor 1 wider. Then we can bring this side out. Like that. And like that. And then a little bit more. So we have 1 more to build over on this side. Alright, surely by now we'll have enough reinforced iron plates. Yeah, I think we do. We just have to get it to line up properly. There we go. That is in. Now we can just have that go across. And that go back to there. And now I realized I've made a 1-to-7 splitter. But that's fine. It's actually 1-to-7 is not that bad unless you're like capped out on belt speed, which we aren't. So let's make sure we have that copied. And then paste, 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 paste. And then we run over this way. Past that batch into this one. And we do a whole bunch of pasting. So that goes all the way across. Alright, so those are all set up. Now we just need to connect the output into the input. And let's get all the way over here because this is the output side. Alright, so we get a floor hole. Goes down, and then across. Gosh, this is going to take forever once it boots up with all these Mark I belts. It's not exactly going to be a quick startup process. Alright, so that is in. Now we just need to get these inputs sorted. So that's tree branch and ornament bundles. So the tree branch is going to be straight from gifts. The ornament bundles are going to be their own separate thing. Yeah, this is like a lot of the same thing where you have one input that's very easy to make and then one input which is an assembler recipe, and then that one has one input which is easy to make and one that's an assembler recipe, and it just sort of goes back forever like that. So let's get all of these in. And we need to make our 1 to 7 splitter, which is pretty easy when you're not anywhere near your max belt speed. There's probably some way of doing it when you are near your max belt speed, but I don't know it. Fortunately, that's not the situation we find ourselves in. So, okay, this top foundation also needs an additional row because we need to do this once for each. So this just goes back all the way over to here. Alright, so in order to make a 1 to 7 splitter, all you do is you make a 1 to 8 splitter, but the last one you just send off into nothingness. So that is going to split between that one and an imaginary one over there. This one is going to split between you and you. I should get this. I should get that belt in, otherwise I'm definitely going to... No, not that. I mean, I need to get this belt in, otherwise I'm definitely going to forget it, and it's all not going to work, and I'm going to wonder why. So we've got that. And a belt going off there to remember. That has to loop back in. Then we have this half, which goes there and there. And we have one here, which goes there and there. Alright, now we just have to bring all of these together. So we have you, which goes there, and then all the way out this way. Also, how fast do these need to be? 5.357 times 28 is 150. Alright, that's fine. So the last couple will have to be slowed down, and then we're going to have to do some faster stuff on the other side then. Alright, so then we have these two, which merge together like that. And then over to there. Alright, so let's just confirm. These are 5.357 times 4 is 21. So, 2 of these batches would be 42. So that would be 42. That would be 42. Each of these would be 21. Okay, and then, so this next bit, I think, has to be Mark II belts. There and there. And then we have a Mark III belt going into it. And we need to get the rest of this in. So that is a merger, which goes from there. And then this loops all the way around and goes back like so. Alright, so we've got that set up. Now we just have to do that again down here. Except the belts are going to be faster. So these are 13.393 times 4 is 53 times 7 is 375. Alright, so one of these batches is almost an entire Mark 1 belt. So as soon as we put two of them together, we're going to need Mark 2s. So these ones can take Mark 1s here, but that's the only ones that can. We get those in, then we come over here. And we get those. Then we flip around and mirror it so that they are close together in the center. And this one gets those two, and then this last one just gets itself and its imaginary eighth. Out that way. Alright, now we set up our next row, which goes into these and requires Mark II belts there and over to there, and the same thing on this side. So we get Mark II belts there and all the way over to here. Alright, then we have... Gosh, what is this even? So that... What did we say? It was 300 something... Yeah, we need to just write down the numbers for these. So we need 13.393 times 28 is 375 branches. 375 branches. Oh, let's also write down this is 50 wreaths, 375 branches. And what's 5.357 times 28? 5.357 times 28 is 150 ornament bundles. 150 ornament bundles. Alright, so if we need 375 branches, then half of those, so the belts going into these can be Mark IIIs. It's going to be half of that, which is less than 270. And then we have the belt going into this, which is going to need to be at least Mark IV. Alright, so that is all sorted out and merged up. So next up, we're going to set the branches aside because they're easy and go to the ornament bundles, which are just 5 per minute, and we're going to need, what, 30 of these, if my quick math is correct. 150 divided by 5 is 30. Yes, so we're going to need 30 assemblers of those, feeding into, what, that's this top one, right? Yes, feeding into this top one. Alright, so let's bring this foundation out and prepare for another row of assembling. So that can just come out this way And we sure do need a lot of them. So, yeah, we need 30 of these for 150 ornament bundles. So let's get a blueprint in. Oh, this is one of the ones which does auto-connect. That's cool. So let's see if we can get this one to line up with that one, just to have our blueprints all correct. Just something like that. And then we'll use that space to get those all connected up. So this output is connected, right? So the only thing left to do is its inputs. Alright, so that power goes back there. And if we need 30, I think we're just going to go to 32, because it's an easier number. And it's going to be one more of those than we have of those. That's 28. Alright, so let's just get all this stuff connected up. Oh, don't slide off the edge. Okay, this... Is this... Oh, these are batches of 3, not... Oh, right, because this is the fused quickwire alt and not the... Speaking of which, we need to... Well, first we need to clear out some room in our inventory. And then we need to grab some reinforced iron plates so that those can keep filling. We need more room in our inventory. We don't need all that junk. We don't need a second parachute. Or those. Or those. And then that should be fine, probably. So let's dismantle that one. And go fused wire. Because this is our batches of 4 that we have. Which is more space efficient than the batches of 3. So we just spin it around like that. Have it line up properly. Like so. And that should be enough space. So we can place that in. And then get the power connected back. Alright. Now we just have to place in a whole bunch of these. And we're going to need one more of them than we have of those. So we can just use that as a guide. Alright, let's get power so that we don't fall out of the sky constantly. Alright, that should be good enough for now at least. Let's just place the last couple in. Nope, we are out of reinforced iron plates again. Because of course we are. So let's hop over here. Grab those from the dismantle crates so that we don't leave dismantle crates lying around for no reason. And then get the rest of those powered up. Now our reinforced iron plate supply is bad again. But if I remember correctly, these are in foundries, which means that this will be the last time we're doing all of this. So we can hopefully swap to a blueprint that doesn't use as many reinforced iron plates soon. I guess they're all being used on this back row of Mark II, which we're going to need to... Actually, we're going to need to upgrade that anyway, right? We need 150 of these. So yeah, let's do that. This will get us most of those reinforced iron plates back, which should unstick us from having to wait for them. Alright, that should be enough at that point. So now let's just head down here, fill the rest of this row in, and finish off with that. So we have you, and then we need one more than those. So we just bring the power along, there and there. And that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 32. Very cool. Alright, so then we just need these last couple to be Mark III belts in order to be fast enough. And then we drop down and we set our recipe. So these are making ornament bundles. And we need 150 divided by 32, which is just barely not quite their full capacity. Now we just paste all of this along. Not the most elegant system, but it's better than making a trillion basically identical blueprints like I had been doing for a little while in there. I would still do that if I had to place a ton of these, but 30 is not that many. Alright, so those are all set up, making our ornament bundles. Now we just have to get this belt into there. So let's just drag it along then. Off we go. We have to get all the way down to the other end of this whole giant line. And then connect it in. Alright, just a little bit further. Just a little bit further. Alright, here we are. Now that wraps around. And that's connected. Alright. Ornament bundles, check. So now what this needs branches, that needs candy canes. And this needs the 2 types of ornament. And it's 1-to-1, so we're going to need 150 of each. Which hopefully these go fast. No, we're going to need 30 foundries for each of these. And it'll be like, what, 300 copper ingots, right? Total, which is not bad at all. And then these are 3-to-1, so it'll be slightly less efficient, but should still be fine. Alright, so let's... I don't think I have a foundry blueprint for this, so I'm going to have to make one. Also, I need to have this actually be a proper floor, because it looks kind of awful right now. I don't like it when these things are just floating on nothing. So, let's get this floor in. And connect it across over to that way. And just keep going across. So this is going to be the floor that sort of most of the factory is built on, and then going up and down as needed. Alright, so that's connected up, and now we just have to get this last little bit over here. And then we have to do the balancing, which 32 is just a whole bunch of powers of 2, right? 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So just going to be a simple repetitive thing. So let's get some space out on the foundations and start building. So this is going to be 150 of each, so it's going to be the same on both sides. It's going to be 4.688 times 4 is 18.752 times 2 would be 37. So, alright, so that should be fine. So this row and the next one won't need Mark II belts, but then past that we will. So there we go. There we go. Putting this one out. How many rows do we have to do? We've got 2 there. We've got... Did I count wrong? We've got 1 row there. We have 1 row there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? How am I getting confused here? What's going on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, right. So these are 4 each, right? So then we just have 2 over here. All right. I got confused because I was staring at this in the middle of finishing a row instead of just finishing a row and asking questions later, which is what I should be doing. I was counting 6 empty splitters and wasn't sure why, because I had already done some of them. Hadn't done others. Alright, now we are down to 4 empty splitters. So, I think these ones might be the ones which require faster. So this is 4.68 times 4, which is that. Then add that one, and this one, no, this, so this one would be 37. Right, going into this one because it feeds 8 of those. Yes. So we have you, and then we go all the way over to here and into there. Then we do the same thing on the other side. So you go into there, and then all the way over to there. Alright, so then these ones are going to be 75 each, which means they get Mark IIs. And then finally we have this one, which is going to be 150 each. Actually, that doesn't even need to be a splitter, that just needs to be a belt, which is 150 ornament bundles going in there. And then we drop down and have to do the same thing over here for the other type of ornament, whichever one that is. So let's get all of this set up and start popping these in. So in you go. And then you go in to there and to there. Then, yeah, so I think this one is the one where we turn and we go to there and to there, so that they doing this so that they get close together at the center, and then those two go together. Alright, so now we just have to combine the rest of these up like that, which goes in there and across there. Then we have this one, which does the same thing, pointing the other direction. So there. And all the way across to there. And then we merge these two up. Let's do it here so that it's on a different side than the other one. So you get Mark 2s there and there. And then a Mark 3 going in. Alright. So that is all the setup we need for that line. Now we are on to the next line, which is going to be the last line that has 2 inputs. But we're going to need to set up a blueprint for it, because I don't have one for foundries yet. Blueprint Designer Mark II. I forgot how big it is. I'm going to need as much space as I can find. So let's just expand this. All this flooring is going to be useful in a moment when we build the actual thing anyways. So, Blueprint Designer Mark II. So, first we need a wall going up a level. Actually, does this go up 2? Yes, this goes up 2 for space purposes. And then we just set this all up to fill in the floor. Gosh, can I get power over here? There we go. That should handle that. Alright, so that is the floor for this. Now we put in foundries. And let's see here. Where will they line up? They can line up something like that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is going to be very similar to the assemblers. In fact, it'll basically be the same footprint. Which means technically all of this was unnecessary, all that merging, and I could have just sent them directly across. Oh well. It's fine. So, this one will then have half of its inputs coming down from here. And then those go like that. So this is going to be what, a copper Ficsmas ornament. And then the other ones we have splitters, which just split as you might expect them to. Classic 1 to 4 setup. And that is all that. So now let's get the outputs linked up and then hop down to do the bottom floor of this. Alright, so the outputs just go like this. And let's see, the main line is going to need to be Mark III, so I might as well do that. And then let's make it auto-connect. That doesn't cost anything to do, and will save a little bit of time. Alright, now we get power pole up. Power pole up. Get that connected. Did I paste all of these? No, I did not. Let's get those pasted. Alright, that's that. Then we have to get this set properly, so this is 150 divided by 32. So we can have that, and that should work for both copper and iron. Copper Ficsmas ornament, iron Ficsmas ornament. They both make 5 per minute. So yeah, that should work for all of that. And now we just have to get this floor in. So down we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And get our splitters there and there. Then all of this goes in. And that then meets them up. Alright. So that is good. And then let's see, I'm not forgetting anything, am I? I don't think so. So I can then call this copper Ficsmas ornament. Save that. Clear the designer. And remove the designer. I haven't burned through all of my free inventory space just yet. So now we can get this in and hold it and line it up. So we need to give you enough space that nothing weird happens. Get you aligned. And let's give a little bit more space even than that. This should be good to go. And it's all lined up with everything. Okay, but this blueprint doesn't actually work. Why not? It's because it's trying to do this. Alright, that's unfortunate, but we're gonna have to edit our blueprint. Special blueprint designer. We're gonna have to edit the blueprint because that is a massive pain. So this one just peeks out too close to the edge. What? What's the dismantle mode button? There it is. So you go out, and then can I even do that? No, that's too short. We're just gonna have to leave you, I guess. Alright, if we're just gonna have to leave it, then this isn't gonna be auto-connecting, but I think that's unavoidable with just how the foundries work. So we're gonna just overwrite the previous one with the new one. And get this set up. So we hold it in place. We get it lined up. Let's see, is that lined up? Yes. And yes. And then that's going to be enough space on both sides. So now this can go in, and it's not going to auto-connect, but it'll do everything short of that, which is fine. Let's see if I can place these fast enough to run out of resources. Yeah, we're running out of modular frames, although they are filling up quickly. So we go there. Now we're short on iron plates. I did use a whole lot of them. And modular frames. Right now we're just waiting on the modular frames. 8, 9, 40. Alright, so we just need one more. We just need one more blueprint of this, and then we're going to have to do a whole nother row of them for the, what's it called? For the iron ornaments, because this is the copper ornaments. So we're going to need a whole lot more iron plates and modular frames than we currently have. But let's just get this all set up. And so this is the side which has to loop into the input, so let's bring you around. And then carry you all the way over this way. And in. Alright, so that's that. Then we need to get these hooked up to not place a random power line on top of a lift or whatever, just connect to the existing ones. There we go. And by the time we bring all this across, we're definitely going to have enough iron plates and modular frames for the last one. Let's make sure to fill up our inventory so that we don't run out of dimensional storage room. And we're going to uncheck take from inventory before depot. I probably should have had that unchecked this entire time. There we go. That is in. And we just have to connect that across. Alright. So now, with power going there, we've got all of this set up, and then it's just going to be a matter of getting the ornaments and gifts in, which I'm hoping we'll be able to do sort of like this, where we don't have to merge them all up and bring them all together again. Let's see here. Red fix-it ornaments are less than 10, ingots are less than 10. So, red fix-it ornaments. These make 5 per minute each. But these require 10 per minute each, so we would need 2 constructors per foundry, which, no, we can't really do that. Alright, so we're gonna have to merge them all up and then split them all again. This is a very fun process. Alright, so we're just gonna grab an additional foundation of space over here and then start putting all these splitters in. Now imagine how awful this would be if I hadn't set up the first 1 to 4 in the blueprint, and there's nothing really I can do to have more than that in a blueprint, because just the spaces involved are so large. But yeah, we're definitely doing a whole lot of splitting today. Now this one goes here and goes to those 2. And now these ones, because they're twice as much, we are going to have to upgrade the belt speeds earlier, because these are 9.375 times 4 is 37.5 times 2 is 75. So already the belts coming off of these ones will need to be Mark II belts. So that gets to be a Mark II belt. Then this goes all the way over here and in there. Then we go over this one And it gets Mark IIs there and all the way out here. Alright, then this gets a Mark III belt to each of those, and then it would be a Mark IV or faster belt going into it. So let's grab our iron plates and our modular frames so that when we make the next row of these for the iron production, we won't have problems. Alright, so that's all set up. We have to go down and do the bottom floor and also make the bottom floor actually exist. That's always important as well. Don't place random foundations off in the distance. Just keep building. Alright, so this comes out. No, not random foundations off in the distance. One upside of building a trillion miles up in the sky is that when you click wrong, it just doesn't work instead of trying to do something silly. Ooh, a summer sloop. Let's grab you. If I can stand still enough to grab it. There we go. If I recall correctly, like all of my summer sloops are over in the old Ficsmas setup, which is something. Alright. Anyways, while we're in this area, I might as well start putting these in, although I still have to finish the floors over on the other side of the factory. So that, and this. Alright, that's all set up. And then we just go along this way. Alright, that is that floor mostly built. Just get the last little bit in here. And have that go in as well. Alright, now we put the splitters in on this side. So you and you. And then we get these ones. And then we have to start worrying about how to merge them all in together. It's the same, right? So these next rows are going to need Mark IIs, I believe. So you get Mark II belts there, and all the way over to here. In you go. Now we do the same thing over here with Mark II belts there and all the way out to here. Alright, now we have our central thing, which we are going to pop in there. And these are going to be 150 each. To there and to there, and then 300-ish coming out. So that is, what, 300 red ornaments, 300 copper. 300 red ornaments, 300 copper. Ingots, I should specify, in case I get confused later. Alright. So next we need the other row of foundries for the iron ingots, or iron ornaments, which require iron ingots. So let's get that space all set up. And really it's just going to be this exact thing again, but with the recipes changed, and I think the requirements in terms of resources are higher. For whatever reason. Alright, so that goes out. And this will be enough for a start at least. Alright, copper, Ficsmas. So you get lined up, and we need to leave an extra space so that we don't have problems with that. But then back here should be good. So then we just... this facing backwards. Yes, but it doesn't matter because it has to sort of go around anyways. Actually, no. Well, hang on. The inputs are going there and there. They'll be doing the same thing here. I guess we can just take the inputs from a floor below. That should be fine. Yeah, so this is okay. Wait, no, these aren't even facing the same direction. Alright, let's make sure that they are facing the same direction. So you get turned around to face that way. And then we just spam a whole bunch of these guys down. That power pole is going to need to go away. Otherwise it's going to stick through the ground and look ugly. So then we just get the rest of these in. And, oh, we managed to build so fast we briefly, for a split second, ran out of concrete. That's always a good sign. Concrete regenerates very quickly, so it's hard to run out. If you run out of concrete, you're building pretty fast. At least with how many dimensional depots I have dedicated to it. Alright, so then we merge all this up. So those connect across, and... Alright. I've got this, which... Do I need any of those? No, not really. Let's just delete them. Alright, so now we have to power these on. And then we have to set the recipes. Let's do that one at a time. Oh, please let me select the power line. Thank you. Alright, so we go the rest of the way across. And they're all connected. Alright, now we have to change the recipes so we should just be able to flip it to that. Yes. Nice and easy. Alright, now we just run across, hitting Control V and holding W. And I sure hope I didn't miss one. I feel like I might have missed one, but we'll have to figure that out when the resources go through and one of them doesn't turn on. Alright, so we just run this across. And still going, we haven't lost the pasting somehow. There we go. So those are all set up. So next step is we have to get this belt in to, what, down there on the bottom floor. So let's run over here to do that. So this is the end of the belt. We're going to run it over this way. And then down. Let's see, it can go down on this level. Yeah, so it should just go down here at this spot. Alright, so there we go. And there. Alright, so this belt goes along. It's really unnerving not having anything, like, actually on the belts in the factory. Like, we are trying to do this just in one take, without all the intermediate sinks and everything that I've been doing previously, but it's a bit stressful not having anything at all connected up and working. And also it's going to mean it's going to take a fair amount of time to get across all of these belts to get to where it needs to go. But the upside is we'll have the satisfaction of it all turning on bit by bit, which is also quite a fun thing to have happen. Alright, so now we have to set up the inputs to these, and then we're done. This is the last row of multiple input factories, right? We just have a whole bunch of constructors and smelters from here on. So that will be nice to not have to worry about all this nonsense again. Because our blueprints make this a lot easier. They do not make it easy. Speaking of which, by the way, these are 14.063 times 4 is 56. And so yeah, these are going to require a lot faster belts than the previous ones, because these ones already are going to have Mark II belts. There we go. Into those two. And then we pivot and set these ones up. And one more on this row. There we go. Alright, now we have to set up the inputs here. So you get Mark IIs, which are just barely enough to hold this. And likewise over here. So you get Mark IIs. Like that. And 14.063 times 32 is 450 iron ingots and blue ornaments. 450 iron ingots, 450 blue ornaments. There we go. And if that's 450, then these belts would be 220 or 225, right? So they can be Mark IIIs. And then we have a good use case for Mark IVs right here. And then we just have to drop down, build the floor underneath all of this. Literally all of it. None of it has a floor. And then do the same thing again down here. Alright, so this extends out all the way over here. And just like 2 or 3 foundations more to cover up this last bit. Alright, then while we're here, we might as well put in our splitters, because physical travel time is kind of the thing that we'd like to mitigate when possible. There we go. Like that. And then let's just finish off this entire half now. Like so. And now we can go over here and get these floors in. Alright, So this just goes all the way down here. And don't build it in the wrong spot. They really, really want to make you build it like up a meter, which I really don't want to happen. Alright, so now that that's in, we can then put the splitters, which go there, and there, and then they go here, and here, and then, oh, don't put that too far back, there, and all the way over this way. And then we just do this last bit, which gets Mark 3s. And then we're going to have a Mark 4 coming off of this one. Alright, so now we need copper ingots, iron ingots, blue ornaments, red ornaments, candy canes, and leaves. Just you know, a couple different things. Alright, I don't have written down how many leaves I need. I should get over to that. I already hooked that input in. Yes, so everything we have up to this point should be ready to go. So let's just make our way over here and figure out how many leaves this is meant to be. I think it's like 200, right? Or, yeah, 200 candy canes. So let's get that in. 200 candy canes. There we go. Alright, it seems like the formatting has changed dramatically just by putting that in. But whatever. Alright, so next stop is, I guess we can start just filling in these. So the 200 candy canes are going to be going in to here, right? Yeah, going into here. So let's get those set up. And how many constructors is that? Candy canes. Oh, it's so many. It's so many constructors. Okay. Yikes. Wait, how much input was that? Candy canes is 15 to 5. Also, our inventory is full. That's not good. Get some of this random junk out. I don't need that. I don't need some aluminum scrap. Let's see. I want to hold on to this stuff because I think I might need it for crafting. I don't need those, or those, or those, or those, or those. Alright, back to having a decent amount of spare space, and I'm going to take from inventory. So if this is taking in multiples of 15, that's a pretty good use for a speed balance setup. Actually, I wonder if I have something that works similarly already as a blueprint. Is this that? We've got 4. It might be, but I'm just gonna make a new blueprint just to be sure. So let's grab our free space over here. And pop down a blueprint for candy canes. So we need 4 of these to be speed balanced properly. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I could fit a 5th in, but that would not serve any practical purpose for what I'm doing here. So we have that. Paste that across. And then we get our 1 to 4. So we get you and you. And those 2. Then we get this one in. Let's get a power pole so that these can all be powered up easily. And then we get the actual splitter system, which is write any center overflow, and then probably just mark 5 out to there and out to there. Alright, so then those all have the settings. That is in properly. It's been connected across. All of these are connected across. Yeah, so let's just get our outputs merged up. And then combine them up. And we are going to need a lot of these. So we need 200 candy canes total, so mark 3 belt on the output. And then we need these to do something like that, so that hopefully they will auto-connect across. Alright, so this is speed balanced candy canes. So if those are making 20 each, we're going to need 10 blueprints of that. So let's get this in. And let's see, do I just want to have this facing like that way for compactness? That makes sense, I think. So we can have this aligned with that. Although, wait, which way did these point? Alright, no, we actually want this to be turned around then. We want the output to be able to just go directly in to that, so we don't have to do big, complicated, annoying belts. So this would be good. Alright, so we have this. And we have it going directly into that. And then we just need 10 of these. Please connect up normally, like that. 2, 3, 4. Let's get power onto these so that I don't fall out of the sky when I get out over there. Alright, and foundation building, which we really should be doing first. So this is going to be, what, 600 gifts in this setup? Because we have 10 of these that are 60 each. Alright, let's have this loop around. Again, just want to be relatively compact and not waste huge amounts of space on this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go one more this way. So we have that. And then let's get the foundations in there and there. Now we just have the same thing, but just flipped around, facing the other way, and then we can connect them across. So like you go in like that, and sure. So that connects around like so. The input also connects around like that. Alright, now we just get all this connected up to power, and then we go back, and that will be that for the candy canes. So just place these in. And boom, done. Alright. Now, because this is speed balanced, we don't have to do any more work on the belts. We just have to connect the power lines up. And this is our candy cane setup. All sorted out. So then we just need to put, what, 600 gifts in there for these? It's 15 times 4 times, yeah, 15 times 4 is 60, times 10 is 600. So we put 600 gifts on that belt, and this will all get started up. So, how much? Let's see here. Gift tree is 15 a minute. So we could have actually not had input belts at all for this. We could have just put the Ficsmas trees in the blueprint. That would have been cleaner, but it's fine. We're just going to have to make a blueprint of Ficsmas trees and spam out a whole bunch of them. Yeah, that would have been much cleaner, but doing it this way doesn't hurt either. In fact, it might look better to just have like a forest of Christmas trees, although maybe having the entire factory be somewhat festive would also be nice, but who knows. Alright, so let's get started on these. We're going to need a lot of gifts and a lot of branches in particular in order to make all the Christmas trees we need. Because we need a lot of gift trees. I don't have red ornaments. I didn't realize these needed red ornaments. That's annoying. Alright, we're going to have to do everything we can up to when the trees get involved and then do all of that later. So let's just get a sign here. So this is gifts 600. So we put 600 gifts in there. Then we come over to this, and this is tree branches and ornaments. So this is the 375 branches. Which means that we're going to have to go out here and get another little module to make tree branches. So let's grab some space and in this general vicinity, because this is where it's going to be. Let's plop down a blueprint designer. Now branches are, I feel like they're similar. They're 10 per minute, which is actually a lot less convenient. So, if these are going to be 10 branches per minute, and these are going to need some weird number, so we can't send them direct. So we're just going to have to do a splitting and balancing thing. Although this would actually be, let's see, if we go 2 trees to 3 constructors, that would actually work out quite nicely. So yeah, this would be a spot where having the trees in the blueprints would help out a lot. Alright, well I need a steady supply of gifts, which means I need a... Where do you make the ornaments? In smelters or something? Yeah, okay, so I need these. Now I do have some gifts that I brought. So this is going to be making some red ornaments to jumpstart production. And we're going to need a similar one over here to make blue ornaments. And we're low on shards, but that's fine. How many of those do I need to make a tree? I need 30 red ornaments and 30 blue ornaments. Alright, so then we can get a tree in here and get you running. Alright, so that will hopefully get things jump-started a little bit. And then, while that's going, I think we're going to move on to the red ornaments production proper over here, because then that'll make it even easier. So this is going to be somewhere over here. We have, where's that one? That's that. So they're going to be going into these ones. Yes, so we have red here, blue there. So let's grab some foundations. And just go back here. Alright, now we get a blueprint designer, and we're going to be making ornaments. So, we have smelters, red ornaments. We need, what, 300 of these? Which is going to be a whole lot. So one tree gives 3 smelters. So do I want to have the trees built in? I think not. I think we're just going to have these be balanced, just like everything else. How many smelters can I fit in a blueprint? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Is that as far to the side as they can possibly be? Yes. So if I'm fitting 7 in here, that's obviously not very helpful. So we'll just remove that one. And now we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can have these. So this is going to be 30, which is half of a Mark 1 belt. Which I can speed balance easily enough. So we just have this going out like so. Alright, so we have that. Then we need, I guess, another splitter there, because then the other half will get them. Wait, actually no, the other splitter would need to be in the outside of the blueprint. So yeah, this is going to be red ornaments, red ornaments. Let's not have a weird typo. Save that, clear the designer. And then we can place down at least one of the... Wait, no, I forgot the output side, which is important to have. I frequently forget that sort of thing, so let's load you up. And this is going to be out to 300 total, so I guess mark 4 belts. Alright, so these just go across. And they all connect up. We need so many of them, and they produce so slowly. It's kind of ridiculous. Alright, so then those are all connected up, and I also forgot the power pole, so let's get that in. That'll save me a lot of time building. Alright, did I miss any of you? No, I didn't. So now we can just save this, overwrite the old one, and clear it. Alright. So that's going to be 30, and we need 300, so we just need 10 of those blueprints. So that works out the same again. And yeah, we could have done like one of these systems to get one output. Alright, so let's go... Where do we want these lined up? The output is pointing that way, which I think I want the output to be pointing that way, just because that's where they're going, ultimately. And then I want this to be in line with this, approximately, just so that we can keep track of what it's connected to. So the belts are going to have to do a little bit of a zigzag, but that's fine. Alright, so this is the output belt. And you are 300. So you just go out like this. You're the one that requires red ornaments. Yes, you are. So then you just curve and go this way. And forward's a great distance. And in. Alright, that's connected up. Now we just need to put in the 10 of these that we need. And we need to leave enough space for them to be low balanced. Which is... Well, they're going to be speed balanced, right? So we don't need quite as much space, but we're still going to need a fair amount of space. One. Oh, power. Give me some power. Out to here. There we go. Alright, and the auto connecting isn't going to work on the back, but that's fine. 2, 3, 4, and then we need to bring power over, as always. So that all gets connected up, as does that. 1, 2, 3, 4, so we need one more on this row. And then we're going to have a second row of the same thing. Alright, so we've got that. Then we need more space horizontally. So let's add all that in. And get this placed around this way. Okay, I think I want even one more space because we need room for the speed balancing, which isn't a lot of space, but it is some, and I don't want to run out. Alright, so that's lined up properly on that side, and it's all fine on this side. So we get that in like that. Then this belt goes out this way and around and connects in. Then once we have a speed balancing belt, it will wrap around along the interior. And then for now, we just have to finish off all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Now for all the connections. Oh, I made these Mark 1 belts in here. That's annoying. I shouldn't have done that. That's going to take forever to fix. I mean, I kind of had to be staring at these anyways, but now I have to fix every single intersection instead of just some of them. So these all get to be Mark 4s. My least favorite belt, but not terrible at the end of the day. Alright, then we go around here and get these as well. Also, I need to bring power over these. And the speed balancing. Yikes, this is quite the project. Alright, just keep her going. No fluids involved, which is nice. I could... I might end up using pure ore recipes, but probably not. Alright, almost there. Alright, so that is all set up. This last one doesn't even need to be Mark 4, but I'm going to have it be one anyways. Alright, so now we need... Yeah, this is actually going to be a bit close, but we can save some space actually by having the input be not wrap around at all, but just go down and have branches off from both sides. Okay, I'm doing that wrong. We need these every other. So you feed out to there and to there. Then you go out to there and there. And then you go out to there. Hello? Connect up normally. Out to there and awkwardly out to there. Then we get the same thing on this side. Alright, no, why are you facing that way? Don't face that way. Face the correct way, which is that way. So then you and you get hooked up. Then you get attached to those two. Alright. Now we just need our speed balancing, which does fit down this row. And there. That's all of them. And now we just have to bring the main line up, which I don't even know how much it is at this point. We're going to have to do the math on it once I get this built. Alright, so these just have to output to whichever side they're outputting to. Like that, and like that, and then we need to set them. So we're going to have the outsides be any, center be overflow, And that way we can just copy paste this across to all of them without any issues. Alright. Let's see here. These ones didn't get powered on. And then we have to bring power across to this side. So these are the red ornaments. And we need 300 red ornaments, which are 1-to-1. So this belt, which we are going to drag out just a little bit, is going to be... I thought I placed that fully, but I needed one more click. So this is going to be gifts times 300. Alright, so that is set up. Now I want to, I guess, just have this start going. Hang on, wait, let me think. So I need red ornaments for the trees, right? I need red ornaments, blue ornaments, and branches for the trees. Red ornaments are the most urgent. So let's get this set up with at least one. I should have this guy from over here making some red ornaments. And hopefully some blue ornaments as well. What are you? Oh, you're just a test one that I placed down. So we grab 200 red ornaments from there, 200 blue ornaments from there, and be able to place a good number of these. So now we just go over here. And this is our permanent red ornament setup, so we might as well start connecting the trees into this. How many trees do we need? If we need 300 for that, and these are 15 each, we need, what, 20? Okay. We can't quite manage that just yet, but we can get started at least, and it's not that many, honestly. We should be able to fit it in just like along this line here. So let's just get, like, I can't see where the output is. Let's just get, like, a couple in here. Just to start off. And there we go. So now this curves around here and into that. Yeah, let's just get the first 4 in. So that's the first... speed balance set, and that should give us all the red ornaments that we are realistically going to need for the building, at least. So that's set up. These are now running and making red ornaments, which, okay, I actually want to disconnect that. Just let these build up a little bit. Yeah, let's get a box here where we can divert our red ornaments for now. So you are in, and you are going to output partially to there. And let's make you a smart splitter with left any center overflow. So then you can still connect over there, but you're just not going to send anything there until we have a big stockpile of ornaments. Alright, so that is starting, which means we have red ornaments, which is one of the things we need for the trees. The other things we need are leaves and blue ornaments. So let's just Google blue. Alright, so blue ornaments are easier. It's 5 to 10. So we're actually going to need fewer machines to get the blue ornaments going, which is a plus. And those are going to be over here somewhere. Alright, so let's see here. That row of trees should be enough to feed that machine, so we won't need anything like that. Then, if we need 450 blue ornaments, then our blueprint for the red ornaments, which we're just going to reuse, will take the same amount of gifts, but output twice as many, so we'll need fewer of them. So this will output 60, so the last one won't even be fully overclocked. So this can then just go in here somewhere. And then let's just start actually by working out the output system. So we need that, which is going to be a smart splitter, which is going to send a box until that's full. And then the rest will go over this way. So there we go. We just have to drag this all the way over here so that it's connected up. And then pop out a little bit to gain space, and then in there. Alright, so that is blue ornaments. Now we have to build the rest of this. So each of these is going to be 60. So 450 divided by 60, we need 7.5 of them, which is not that many. So let's get those going. Find you, get you powered up. 1, 2. Alright, let's get the foundations in first so that we don't have problems with space. It's always hard to place them when there's stuff already there. Alright, so those are in. We've got 2, 3, and 4. And then we need to leave space for the speed balancer, which we're still going to be using, and then get the rest of these sets in. So let's get more of these, probably another 2 or even 3. And then run this all the way down that way. Then put our second row of blueprints in. So this goes here. Give it all the space it needs. And go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we take this belt, it's going to come out, go over, and then merge back in on that side. Alright, now we have this. So, let's see, the last one of these is going to have to be underclocked. So we're going to have to figure that out. Actually, it might be easier. Yeah, it's probably going to be easier just to do proper balancing and just up this to 8. So we're going to have a lot more machines than we need, but it'll be fine. So this has to Okay, it's actually a bit weird. But we have you go to there and to there. And then we have you go there and there. Then we have these ones, which are also going to split off like that. And these ones, which will be the last ones. So, going into these will be just slightly less than 60, right? Right. Alright, so then we just need you to go there and then all the way down to there. We need you to go to there and then all the way down to there. And then we just need you to go to there and to there, and then we just need to figure out what all the speeds need to be. So this is blue ornaments, which is 450 divided by 48. Yes. So these are all going to be slightly less than 5. We're going to have to spend ages pasting all of these. I wish there was like a mass paste button. But I don't think there is. I'm not confident that I got that one. Which would be hard to tell because they take the same inputs, so I guess I would notice when we have the wrong color ornaments on the belts. I have to go through and unstick it all, which would not be fun. So let's get all of these. Alright, so then we have 4.688 times 48 is 225. So if we have 225, then that's being split to two that are just less than 120, which are then being split to things that are just less than 60. So yeah, that's plenty of belt speed. Now we just need to connect all of these guys across. And all powered. Alright, so those are all powered. Now, we need... Let's see, this was 225, right? So let's get that in with a nice convenient label sign. So you are gifts 225. Alright, so now we just have to get our inputs, which should be pretty easy again. So we're just going to have some trees, give them a little bit of space, and then we're going to need to get ornaments for all of this. We're going to need so many ornaments. We're going to need enough ornaments that it's probably worth... It might be worth setting up dimensional storage just for this. But it's probably also just going to be easier to simply grab many stacks worth and just have that be that. Alright, so that is that. Let's actually set this center to none. And do the same thing over here so that... Okay, this needs to go into there. And have right be set to none, so we have total control over everything. Okay, and then we need to connect up the output belts, because this blueprint doesn't do that for me. So let's get those in. And a lot of these don't technically need to be Mark IIIs, but some of them will. And I don't want to do the math to figure out when that starts happening. So we're just going to have this be nice and fast all the way along. Alright, that... Oh, right, this is Mark IV output because it's 450. This is the first half, so this should be 225, and this should be 450, so we should be fine here. But yeah, let's just make these ones Mark IVs. And then we need to get this connected all the way across. Alright, just a couple more. And there we go. So that is now those going. We have red and blue ornaments producing here. So then the next thing we need, as far as gifts are concerned, we need the... What are they called? Where are they? Here, the branches, which we were in the middle of doing before I got distracted with ornaments. So let's get the branches set up now. Those are those also in... No, those are in constructors. Alright, so let's just set this up for them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tree branch. So that would be like 40. Let's just do batches of 3 so that we can have them nice and organized. Although this will significantly increase the number of these that I need to place. Alright. Can I get a blueprint that does 6? So if I have constructors back to back like this, then so we need the reason we want this to be 6 is for it to be load balanced or speed balanced, which means we would need it to be something like that, and then like that, and then another one, and then another batch of 3 there. And then can we fit, or we could if we shifted this whole thing over slightly. So then the input belt would be here, I guess, or over here, because we have room for it. And then the output belts would merge up to the other side. Yeah, okay, so this should work. So let's just take this out, make it fit properly. It's annoying that there isn't a way of just like taking a whole blueprint and shifting it over to the side just in one go. Alright, so constructor. You are going to go over here and then leave, you know, just barely enough space for a merger. There you go. And then we have splitter, 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 constructor. So then those go in, those go in. So go there, there, there. All these get connected up. So then we have our mergers, which go up this way. And then these mergers, which go up this way. And gosh, they really just barely squeeze in there, huh? Alright. So let's call these Ficsmas tree branches. Paste those settings to all of them. Then we merge these up like that, and then merge them up to a main line, which is going to be going along like this, I guess. I would love to have this be fully auto-snapping and everything. So we have something like that. Alright, did I connect these? No, I did not. Although it looks like I did connect those, so that's convenient. Alright, then on this one we just have a smart splitter feeding a Mark 1 belt that way. And then we have our main line input belt, which is going to be 375 gifts. So this is write any center overflow. So this is branch speed balance. And I might have to remember that design for in the future because it's pretty clean. Oh, did I forget to put power lines in? I did. Okay. It's a pretty clean design once I get it functional fully. Load you. Let's see. Pop a power pole in anywhere where there's space. And then connect it up to all 6 of those. That'll leave 4 spots for external connections, which is plenty. Overwrite the previous one and clear that all up. Alright, so now we need to think. If those are 60 each, and we need 375, then we need 7 of them. Which is quite a lot, but manageable. Alright, so this is the output on the left, the input on the right. We want the output to be pointing in this way towards the factory, so we do that. And now we get this aligned just to the grid, like so. And place it in. Then we grab you, bring you in. Alright, so we need a storage box for branches, just like we do for the other things which we need to build trees. So we get a storage box, smart splitter, like that, and this is going to be write any center none for now. And then we just have to bring this up all the way over this way. Alright. This then curves outwards a little bit and then goes into there. Alright, so we have that. Now we just have to place the rest of these machines in. So we have 1, and we need 7 more. The last one, which is going to be quite small. Branch, speed, balance, blueprint, auto connect. Alright, make sure this is pointing the right way. It is. 2, 3. It's quite big. I'll give it that. It's definitely not it's compact for what it is. It's not small. And it's going to be real annoying to turn this. So I think we just go off into the abyss that way. So we have 1, 2, 3 already. That's 4. That's 5. Power lines, where are you? You need to be connected back. And you need to be connected forwards. So then we just need 2 more of these. And I really hope I got everything set up properly in these blueprints. Alright, you then connect up. As do you. However, the last one doesn't need nearly as much. So that goes back. This one, we only need it to output 15. So let's just, I guess, take all but 2 of these out. And then these 2 can be set to 7.5 each. And then that ought to do it. I didn't connect these belts across. Alright, that's annoying, but whatever. Just gonna have to run along and do that for all of these. Just mark 1s. Okay, that's definitely not supposed to connect forwards. It's just this one thing that we need. No, not like that. Please connect it normally. And then I probably missed... Yeah, those need connections like that. The other side got their connections. It's just that one which is missing. So there we go. Just pop all of those in, and then move on to the next batch. It's not that hard, fortunately. The nice thing about blueprints like this is even when you forget one thing, you've remembered so many things that it's all relatively simple anyways. Like, I don't have to place the mergers or anything like that. I can just spam belts. Alright, and then this first one doesn't have that, so we're done. Alright, now we just need to get the trees into this as well. And that will be, I think, all of the gift-related production. There'll still be other stuff that we need to do, the iron and the copper, but all the gift-related production will be done once that is placed. Oh, gotta go grab some more red ornaments in order to get even a single tree out here producing branches. Let's see, I should be able to make that jump. There we go. I'll just grab a couple stacks for now. Just want to get them started. And then we go over here. And we can start placing in our trees. So gift tree there. Just get a couple of them. There, that's as many as we can place right now because of a blue ornament limitation. So all these then go in. And this is going to have to be 375 gifts total eventually. So we're going to use Mark 4 belts even for this. And then that is all connected up. Oh wait, this is the first one. I think that means that this has to be center any right overflow in order to work properly. I thought this was the last one when I was building it. Oh well, it's fine. So eventually this whole line will just backlog to here and it'll be fine. It's not ideal, but the important thing is that we are going to get some gifts producing branches. So there they go. Just have to make it all along these relatively slow belts. And then once they hit that spot, they go pretty fast. And then they'll go down into a box. Alright. So that is all of those done. Now I just need to get the copper ingots and iron ingots in. And then hopefully we come back to enough supplies of these things that we can just build all the trees we need. So copper and iron ingots are here. This is iron, that's copper. So let's just expand this floor out this way. And just grab a whole bunch of space here. Alright, that should be enough space at least to start. So, we're not gonna... I mean, we're not like directly above a water source. No, we're not. So we're not going to worry about that. Instead, let's just get a good old smelter. So iron is 1-to-1, which means we have enough because we have 600. We need 300. Copper is also 1-to-1. I don't remember both of these being 1-to-1 ratios. I don't know what I'm misremembering. Alright, so we need 10 copper smelters, and we need, what, 15 iron smelters? That's pretty easy, honestly. So, let's see here. This is 30. So we can do speed balancing for these, and the iron is the same, so we can do the same speed balancing for both. Alright, let's make a blueprint for this. I feel like I have one. I feel like I probably... Well, let's see. Is this... No, because this is 6-to-1. And that's just an entirely different thing. So yeah, we're going to have to make a new blueprint for this. And let's just have it be batches of 2, I guess. Yeah, let's just have this be real simple. Put those in the center. Just the simplest possible blueprint, just to save a little bit of work on what is already not that difficult of a task. So we set you 2 to copper. You get a smart splitter. You go there. And then these are going to need to be at most Mark 4s. So we just have that. And then we have our mergers, which we're going to merge back this way. And again, be at most Mark 4s. Okay, the auto-snapping is going to add a little bit of extra space to this, but that's fine. And then we pop the power pole in just because it's marginally helpful. Then the smart splitter is right any center overflow. And let's just call this smelter speed balance. Alright, so that'll save a little bit of time. And now let's just place them down. So we have you. And you are just gonna go... just go there. Blueprint auto-connect mode is correct, but we just need you to actually line up properly. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that is all we need for copper. Now let's get back within power range and get this all connected up. Have I had this going the right way? Okay, I have it going the wrong way, but that's fine. It's not like it's gone very far the wrong way. Alright, so then this just... No, I didn't mean to upgrade you to Mark 5. I wanted you to just turn right around. And go this way. Now this one right here is iron, right? So we have to... yes, we have to go around to the next row in order to get there. There's already a belt in the way. Ah well. I'm just gonna have to go over. So we go over here. Then we turn over here. Then we go to default mode. We go up. And over. And down. And then we can just go the rest of the way. Alright, then this just has to... where does this... oh, this goes up here. Okay, so then... that's fine then. I think technically we could have avoided that crossing by just going up a floor instead, but it doesn't really matter. You go up the floor here. Is this... which one of these is pointing the wrong way? You are there. Yeah, okay, this one is pointing the wrong way. How did I manage to mess that up? Oh, because I connected it into that instead of into this. Duh. Alright, so we're gonna have to take all of this out, unfortunately. And all the way out back to there. And then we're just going to have to build it back in. So that then connects back to here. And around to there. Then up in default mode. And then I keep hitting the wrong button to change build modes. Then we just go around to here. And we connect into that instead. And that is copper up to here. And then we just run it the rest of the way. So we go there. bring this across. And I guess a little bit further, like that. And that's copper attached in. Next, we need iron, which is going to be marginally larger than the copper setup. It also only has to get to here, which will be nice. So let's expand this out a little bit so that we have the room. And then we go smelter speed balance, which I guess we will do this way. I don't know. Doesn't really matter, but this way has the output pointing in the correct direction. So we might as well. And then we need 15 of these total. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and then these last two are set to 50%. These are the last two. No, these are the first two again. Okay, I keep making that mistake. Wait, this is just entirely backwards. Did this get placed in? Yeah, so this last one got messed up somehow. Wait, they're just alternating the entire way? Okay, don't do that. Why would you think that that's what I wanted to have happen? So that's the first one. So we have to dismantle every other one here. There's never been a point where I wanted my builds to randomly just alternate like that. Just go in normally, like so. Alright, now we're all attached up. So this is actually the last one. So you are set to 50%. And we copy paste that across. Now we get these machines powered up. So we just connect them across to something else with power. And we bring all that in. Alright. Now we are almost there. We take this belt, which is going over here, and we just have to bring it up onto this, like so. And is that a tick too low? Yeah, that's a tick too low. It's always hard to tell when you don't have a foundation there. So you are there. I think that might have been like 2 ticks too low or something. So then you go in and up. And then you just rotate around this way and in. Alright, I believe the only belts we need to connect back up are the ores into these, and then we have to build the rest of the trees. And then we will be done, probably, with this. So let's figure out where on earth I left the ores. They're like all the way over here, aren't they? Yeah, they're like way over. Where the heck are they? Can I just poke through that floor real quick so I can get down here? Alright, well, they're not this far over. They're up here. Alright, so we need to get these all the way over to the other side of the planet, basically. So let's just bring them up and start working on that. I think we're gonna run a little bit over today, if that's what it takes to get this all hooked up. So these go over this way, and this is the correct direction, but I have no idea how far we need to go in this direction. I think the answer is pretty far. I also think it's not like exact. We have to go. We're gonna have to go up a level, and then I don't know where from there. All right. So yeah, it's basically it is basically just a straight shot that way until almost the entire other side of the factory. So that goes there. This comes along to here, and we just keep on going. We just keep on going. I think this is about it. I think those are the smelters up ahead to our right. Although it is hard to tell for sure. Alright, so here we are. Yep, these are the smelters we were looking for. So let's just get over here and then figure out where they need to come from. So you get a floor hole here, which feeds just, okay, that just snaps directly. And then you need to go all the way back this way because I built it backwards and into this floor hole. Like so. So we have copper going all the way back here. We have iron going a little bit less far. So we're going to bring the foundation over. Bring the foundation over and then build the belts back to meet up with those belts. Alright, where was the other one? It's here. Alright, so now we can actually get the lifts on, which will make them easier to see. Then we go around and over this way. Then you get a lift. Did I set this to iron? No, I didn't. Because it's basically the same thing. But it is important that I get that correct. Otherwise, this is not going to work. Alright, so we have that. So this is copper. This is iron. Oh. Alright, something weird happened with the hotbar, which is occasionally a thing that happens. Alright, so this is copper. And alright, we got lucky. They lined up correctly. So we can just bring these belts around here, around the corner, and in. then iron just goes over to here. And then we just connect you up to like there, then around the corner, and connect across. Alright, so that is copper and iron attached. The copper is already starting to run. And the iron is filling in as well. So that is that. Alright, so that means that there is one task left, which is placing all the trees. So let's get a blueprint for the trees. Actually, first let's get enough supplies to actually be able to build a whole bunch. So let's have like 5 stacks of each, I guess. Should be a good number. See, I have that. So slightly more than 5 stacks of the red ones, which is fine. And then we have to go over to our leaves. And we already have a good couple of those, so let's fill those out. Okay, and now we just need to make a blueprint designer just to make this a little bit easier. Alright, so let's see, how many of these do I even want in a blueprint? Because I don't want it to be so many that I like don't have the ability to be precise. So let's just have 2, honestly. It'll be enough to save time, not enough that I'm going to waste stuff. So tree. And there's not a whole lot that goes on with these guys. But we can at least have it be auto-connecting, like so, and gift tree. Alright, there we go. So, now we have to figure out how many each of these is. So this is the 375 branches, which at 15 a tree, 375 divided by 15 is 25 trees. So we have 4. Okay, you might have to go build mode default for the first one. Oh, you're backwards compared to this one. Okay, that's fine. Honestly, we can just take these out. We can just take these out and rebuild them with the blueprints so that they all fit. Alright, so the trees all go away. And then we get our blueprint in, which we want to have facing this way. And we do want 1 additional tree on top of that, just for getting the right numbers, because we need 25, which is odd, obviously, and 2 is even. So this just connects around like that. And now we can go back to Blueprint Auto Connect mode. And that is 5, 7, 9, 11. What did you do? Why would you do that? 13. 13, 15, 17. Okay, now we need more gifts. Which, I guess I should have seen that coming, huh? Alright, so let's get some gifts out of this. So you can just have a smart splitter, which can then fill a box like so, and write any. Center overflow. We need to fill this box fast, because we have a whole lot of trees to place, and I did not think to build up a stockpile of gifts first, which was a pretty big mistake. How much does each of these need? Each of these needs 50. Alright, so that's a lot. But I guess we'll just have to keep on placing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. $19. Alright, so that'll at least get it a little bit faster. And then hopefully we don't also run out of branches at the same time. I could respawn, grab a large number of gifts from the old base. But this is honestly still pretty fast. Like, that's 200 there. There's going to be more by the time I get back there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 21. And you go away, please. Thank you. So just 2 more, and then that should be fine. We're not currently running low on our stocks of other trees. Yeah, I didn't remember we needed gifts for this. So let's grab those and those. And then make our way over. Alright. Gift tree blueprint in there. I've lost count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we need 1 more set, and then this row will be done. So there we go. Alright, so that should be enough gifts to produce all the branches once we don't need to constantly be using them to fill this box to place trees. Alright, now let's grab those. And honestly, just because we're going to have to keep running back here otherwise, let's just make that a dimensional depot. So that will help out a little bit. It won't be hugely helpful because, I mean, it's not that much, but it's something. It'll prevent us from having to constantly run back and forth to restock. And it's up to a good solid stockpile. It's obviously going to be filling faster than the depot can handle, which is fine. So then eventually that will fill up with gifts, and this will start running. In the meantime, let's run over to here to figure out how many gifts this needs. I almost didn't make that. Alright, so this one, we have this set up. Please say that these are compatible with our blueprint. No, they're not, of course. Of course not. So this is 300 gifts a minute. So let's see here. 300 divided by 15 is 20. That's a nice, neat, even number. Let's pick these guys up. Again, just dismantling this so that it aligns with our blueprint better. I really hope I don't have to do this for the last batch as well. Oh, don't dismantle random power lines. That is very risky, because you never know what is on that power line. Alright, let's make sure that the dimensional depot doesn't fill up. And then we get our gifts in. Alright, if we place it there, it doesn't auto-connect to anything weird. So those can connect into that. And then we go 2, 4, 6. And then we're going to have to grab more of... Was it just more of the one thing or more of a couple things? We're going to need more branches. And I may as well restock on ornaments while I'm doing restocking. The branches supply might be a problem because it's also currently the gift supply. Alright, so let's get over here. Yeah, branches not exactly available at the moment in large numbers. So we are going to have to go over here and just set this splitter to any, I guess, both ways, so that it splits evenly. So center, any. Got a good number of gifts in there already. And we ultimately don't need that many for crafting. We need a good amount, but not like tens of thousands or anything. Alright, so we're going to go over here. And so this is what we're working on. We are currently at 6. That's 8, 10, 12, and now we are going to be waiting on tree branches, which is quite the shame. Alright. Has any gotten back over here now that I've made that change? They should be. It looks like they're just starting to show up now. Alright, so that's fine. We should be making a whole bunch of these, in theory. So it should be fine. And then this is just going to keep piling up. There's no space left in depot. I think we set that to overflow. Just get as many branches as possible, because that's now the bottleneck for at least the time being. Yeah, this is not convenient. I really wish I had set up a whole lot of present production to begin with, because then this could have been producing branches that whole time and we'd be doing fine. But it is what it is. Alright, let's just grab if we can get up to 300 branches in inventory, then that should be enough to place, I think, the rest of this row. And then we are close to finished, right? Because we just have that left. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we go 14. Okay. The number of branches we need is large. I forgot how many this needed. So we need 2 more of these, which is going to be another 400 branches. And then we're going to need like another several thousand for those. Alright. We're definitely chugging along here. It's not the fastest I've ever constructed a factory, but it's fine. Alright, so those are going strong as well. We're going to take these dimensional depots down in a minute, but just for the sake of short-term convenience, might as well have them. And yoink those. So that's enough branches in inventory to finish off this row, which will finish off one of those. So let's confirm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Did I miss some? I swear I should be up to 16 by now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright, no, I've apparently misremembered. We're going to need 3 clicks of this. 1, 2, and 3. And that is all the gifts for those. And then the last bit of gifts we need are this row over here, which is the smallest, right? This only needs 225. Yes, so this needs 225. 225 divided by 15 is 15. So let's get... Yeah, so the branches stockpile is enormous. Gift stockpile, slightly less good. We might need to swap back over to gifts again in terms of production. Alright, so I'm pretty sure this is also wrong, right? We almost are able to... We're almost able to make it work like that, but I'm not doing that. We could actually... Hang on. Yeah, we can actually just, like, do this, and it'll even auto-connect. So those are in. So we need 15, we have 4. So that is 6. And we're mostly waiting on tree branches at this point. But we are very nearly to the point where we can swap these into the factory proper. Now, tree branches, we can... This isn't uploading to the dimensional depot at quite full capacity, as fast as it's producing. So we can speed things up a little bit by grabbing from this. So we have like 6, we need like 15, so we're going to need another like 1,000 or so of these. I don't know the exact numbers. Well, let's just head on over there and see what happens. Alright, so we have 6, we need 9 more. It's like 100 each. So yeah, we need like another 900 branches, which isn't terrible. That's 8. That's 10. Let's fill that out. Alright, we're up to 12. So we just need 300 more branches, and then we'll have all of the trees we need. And we can say that this is fully operational. The iron and copper are obviously doing their thing still. And these are just about to be saturated with them. Meanwhile, the gift-related production I've deliberately stopped so that I can send it all in at once. Alright, we've got to be good by now, right? Or at least close. Alright, we're almost at the point where we can place another one of those, although we need to just grab one last stack of blue ornaments. Yoink. Got those. And then the leaves should be all set. So we've got that. And then we have one last tree, which we need red ornaments for, because of course we would run out of those two at around the same time. So we're going to run back here. Grab our last red ornaments. And then run back over here to add those red ornaments into the final tree in this entire production line. Right there. And there you go. Alright, that is everything. That is all of the trees, which means that there's nothing left to do but, let's see, left, overflow, right, any. Oh, lag. Right, any. So now blue ornaments are going into the system. Left, overflow, center, any. Red ornaments going into the system. Did I forget the candy canes? I think I forgot the candy canes need their own, like, 700 trillion. Alright, so we're going to have to hold leaves back still. In that case. We need, like, what, 600 or something ridiculous? Yeah, we need an insane amount of gifts for that. Which means we're going to need a whole bunch of leaves, and a whole bunch of gifts, and a whole bunch of ornaments. Alright, well, we have these boxes, so the ornament supply isn't going to be an issue. We're still producing leaves, so that can continue to happen. Let's see, how many leaves are we going to need? So 600 divided by 15 is 40. And it's 100 leaves, right? So this is going to be 4,000? Yeah, so we're going to need 4,000 leaves total for that. And a not trivial amount of gifts we're going to need. So we're going to need 4,000 leaves, 2,000 gifts, and 1,000-ish of all the other things. So the tree branches, yeah, I mean, that's just going to take forever to fill up. We're going to need to start producing gifts again, awkwardly. Because the current amount we have is not enough. Alright, well, we can start. We can grab more ornaments and leaves, and then gifts can do dimensional storage stuff to show up. 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll probably be approximately enough red ornaments. This should give us approximately enough blue ornaments. something along those lines. And then we can run over here and just start placing. If we're going to need 40 of them, that's going to take quite a while to build, but we'll get there eventually. We also don't need to store these for anything, so they can just go straight out to where they need to go. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so that is that. And I think we honestly just want this to be doing gift storage. Let's get a smart splitter on. And I did make all of these Mark V belts, so that was smart of me. So we can call it that left overflow, which goes over to there, so that when we are ready, we can just set a setting. Alright, now you get to be the dimensional depot for gifts, and we're just going to take the other one down, because it needs to be producing all the branches that it can manage. So let's go over here, grab whatever gifts remain out of it, and then we're good with that. Alright, there are no gifts remaining in here, so that's fine. Just take it apart. And this looks to all be running correctly. Yeah, it looks good. A whole lot of green lights. Not any other colored lights. Alright, let's grab more branches. And we're just going to keep placing these. We're nowhere near done. We are nowhere near done with these. So let's just place all of those. And then let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20... Yeah, 22. So we're slightly more than halfway done. And we have gifts supplied. We have branches supplied. It's just a matter of time. Alright. Branches are going. So for slightly more than half, we still need like another several thousand branches, unfortunately. But we can at least check to see how the rest of this is going. Because everything up to that point should be functional. And yeah, we do have... Alright, well these ones are still yellow. Because you're not getting any copper. Is there some problem in there? Yes, that connection didn't get made properly. So let's pop that in. All the rest of this is looking good. These ones, the ornaments just haven't gotten along the belt yet. And the tree branches are still a whole thing. But we'll get there eventually. Alright, so that's providing gifts. Don't really have that many spares in it. Here's all the branches. We have a spare of 200 in there. We love to see it. So we were at, what, 22? We were at 22 last time. So that's 24, 26, 28, and just about 30. 30. So we have 1,000 tree branches remaining at 375 a minute. That'll be 3 minutes or so. So yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad at all before we can send the tree branches into the factory and get all the rest of this running. Good news is that this stuff all getting a head start is the part of the factory that needs the head start the most. Alright, we can take these apart. We don't need them anymore. That'll also give us an additional tree, which is nice. Alright, so this is still cooking. We have another 100 spare, which means we're up to 200. And in there we have another 200. So yeah, basically most of the way there. Just have to extend this a little bit further. And we still haven't produced even a single gold star, which is kind of funny. Alright, so we have 10 of these remaining. 8, 6 remaining, and then we're going to place this, and it'll be 4 remaining. And we have the baubles, or ornaments, to do it. So yeah, we just need another 400 branches, and then we will have full functionality on everything. So let's get over here, grab an additional 100 branches there. That'll help. Oh, we can grab all of those out as well, and that should actually do it. That should do it as far as how many of these we need. So, gift tree number 20 billion. Gift tree number the last one. Alright. That is everything, which means now we can shift these from gift production over to candy cane production, shift that branch from dimensional storage over to factory, center any right overflow. So that's going through. Now we have to get over here and send these through. And left any center overflow. There we go. So now we have gifts running down this. That'll provide us our candy canes. And then everything else should be functional in no time at all. So this is our final output, which I should just connect up to a sink so that this can be running around the clock. Let's see, will a sink even fit in here? Yes, it will. That's convenient. Alright. Smart splitter. And left overflow, center any. You can be dimensional depot, I guess, and then we can take down some of the other ones. There. So that's dimensional depot'd. Should be getting candy canes any second now. Can't take them too long to get along those belts. Oh, I'm stuck underneath the floor and I can't figure out how to get up. Alright, there we are. Go all the way around this way. So these are producing candy canes and they're going in. Then we have these ones which should be receiving branches. Yes, they are. They've just started actually. 0 cycles complete, but they're filling. Alright, so that is that. And we have branches. We've got all of these going strong. And this should be... Let's see, some of these are starting up. You can see green lights over here. Which, I don't know why these ones would be getting them faster. but it's like a pretty considerable difference, actually. What's going on here? Oh, I guess it goes all the way out over there and then all the way back, so it's a slightly inefficient path for the ones that are over here. So that makes sense. Alright. But they are now basically all starting up, except for the absolute furthest ones along the chain. And this is like over a minute to produce a single cycle. So that'll be a bit. But it should be functioning now. Some of those ones are halfway done, which... Let's see, why are some of these ones not getting enough tree branches? Alright, we might have either miscounted or there might be something weird going on with the speed balancing. Let's check. If there were anything weird, it would be at this one way back here. But it doesn't look like anything's going wrong. I mean, all of these are showing that perfect 1 out of 100%. These ones are only showing 95%, which is weird because you'd expect them to have the least problems. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I could just like put an additional tree in. I might have... It's slightly possible, unlikely. No, it can't be because I'm missing a tree, because then these would be 0%, because they're 15. It can't be because I'm missing a tree, but just for the sake of it not being an issue, I'll add a tree in anyways. So now we have an extra 15, which should cause this to like gradually back up just a little bit. Which should cause this to function. This might just be a question of it not having fully backed up quite yet anyways. So this should resolve any lingering issues. Just the occasional extra present on a belt. And we should be all good. Yeah, so now these are going much better. They should be filling up more than is strictly necessary. Which is a little annoying, because I do like my perfectly running machines, but it'll help balance things out at 100% instead of 98% or whatever it was. And then it'll just be a little bit before that trickles through to get these activated, because the belts are quite long. But it'll happen eventually. And in the meantime, these have been producing for a while. You can see they are almost down the belt. So they are going. The candy canes have had a good while to stock up, I would think. Yeah, they're at 50s and such. Alright. So, any second now, our wreaths are going to show up. They're down here on the floor. And going into the splitters. Alright. There they go. Splitting across as they do. This one should be the first one to start up, although it's got a bit of time. It's got a bit of time because these take a minute to run. So now that it's received its first wreath, it should take it a minute to receive its fifth and then be started up. And then, once that happens, it'll be another minute until we have our first gold stars in the box. So let's get a man down. Let's see, how many of these do we need? We need 500, which at 10 a minute is, what, an hour? Alright, so it's not exactly fast. So we're just gonna let this get started. Let's see, which Which one was the first one? You were, yeah, you've just started at this exact instant. And now the rest should be following suit as the belts get there. So we have this. It's going to take it 72 seconds, actually. So it's going to take it 72 seconds, and then it will output our first gold star. Alright, so that was a good, successful stream. We ran a little bit over because I didn't want to leave the Christmas event, like, unfinished, basically. But I think at this point, I mean, we're producing golden stars at the rate which I like to produce things, which is 10 machines at 100%. Obviously, we have 12 at slightly less than 100%, but we are producing gold stars, and that's the important part. So I guess next stream I will be unlocking the Wonder Star trinket, and then that'll be that. But yeah, it's good, solid, successful Christmas event. Got a nice, decent sized factory out of it in a single stream, which is nice. And yeah, there we go. Wonder Star on the conveyor belt. And there are a couple following it. Very nice. Alright, so thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be streaming tomorrow as well. Probably Factorio, although I might go back to Satisfactory to just tile the loose ends on this Christmas stuff. You might even say to wrap it up. Haha, get it? Because wrap. Anyways, so we'll see. We'll see which one of those two I'm doing tomorrow, and then we'll have New Year's off, and then we will be back to a regular schedule from that point onwards for basically forever, hopefully. So, if you're interested in that, make sure to follow if you haven't already. When schedules are normal, I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, and I play various factory building games. As you can see, I'm currently doing Satisfactory and also Factorio. So, that's about it. Make sure to stop by in the future, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out.